first Halloween, you did a ritual.
Correct.
And that was outdoors, most of it, wasn't it?
It was actually at Snug Harbor.
At Snug Harbor.
Yes.
And you had your coven with you.
Yes.
And you did what you do when you ring in the new year.
Exactly. We have 8 Sabbats, which Samhain being the most important. Samhain is Halloween. Samhain being the most important because it is actually the end of summer and the beginning of winter. So it's our new year. It's a time to dress up in costumes that we want to project to be for the year. So if you wanted to be something beautiful, you would dress as a fairy. If you wanted to be something courageous, you might dress as a bear.
Really?
Yeah.
A bear or even a soldier or something?
Exactly. Something that's positive, though. Your outfit should always be positive. That's why we stay away from gore. Bloody masks.
Well, a lot of people go for that on Halloween.
Exactly.
But they're not Wiccans or
They don't
anything.
realize what
They just do it.
the manifestation is. Correct.
So in other words, you think that if a person dresses like in gory stuff on Halloween, that's what they're projecting for the following year?
Well, they don't realize it, and then sometimes we manifest things in our lives without even thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
So being more conscious of our thoughts and our actions.
Right.
Witchcraft, I
So-
say, enlightens people.
So you recommend on Halloween for people to dress up in nice costumes.
Something that you want to
depict.
exactly project. If you wanted money,
Yeah.
you might dress up in a suit and then take dollar bills and stick it in your pockets. And
Or be a dollar bill.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yep, to draw it back to you.
Or a gold coin or whatever.
Right, and most witches, if you're very comfortable with yourself, you'll wear your
Your own
basic black
clothes.
robe, your black robe and your capes. Because that is magical. It's like a priest's vestment that he
Yeah.
wears to church.
Right.
That makes you magical.
Right, right. Let's talk about Salem a little bit before we
Absolutely.
go into your ritual that you did. I just want to ask you about. I have been there on quite a few occasions.
Yes.
I love it there. I really do. It has
great.
a wonderful air about the
Yes.
place. A nice energy, and a really calming, relaxing, positive energy.
It's a great feeling.
It does. It
Yeah.
is a great feeling to be walking along the street in Salem, to just be there
It's
and,
very
and breathe it.
mystical.
It's very
Yeah.
mystical and very educational
Yes.
too. When you go there, you find out exactly what the story was when back in the 1600s, when witchcraft started to become part of their life.
Exactly.
And prior to that, it was a very bad thing to be a witch. And
Yes.
there were 20 people altogether during those times that were actually put to death because they were accused of being witches.
Exactly, and it wasn't just in Salem. It was in Scotland, England, Italy. There were
Right.
thousands of people burned, hung and
no
tortured.
burnings were held here. But
No, not in.
Not in,
Right.
in the United States.
Correct.
But in Europe, they burned them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just for being witches, they were burned at the stake.
Right.
But here they hung them, and 19 of the 20 people were hung,
Exactly.
and one was pressed to death.
Yes.
Which means that they put a big piece of wood on top of him,
And they would put
and they kept
stones
putting
on
big
top,
stones
yep.
on top of that, and kept going until he was dead.
Absolutely.
Yes, I know. I don't know the gentleman's name who it happened to, but he just kept saying, more weight, more weight.
Right.
Because he was not going to, he wasn't a witch and he wasn't going to say that he was.
Exactly.
And if he had to die for that, he died. They also hung 2 dogs, I understand.
Yes.
And now, that goes to show you what kind of mindset these people were.
Oh yeah, back then.
Right? Anyway, though, so back in Salem, they had all of these witch trials and all that stuff started going on in the late 1600s.
1692.
1692. And it lasted how many years?
I believe it lasted about a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Only a year?
Yeah, because it started in the early 1690s.
Right.
And by 1692.
And I think by 93 it was over
Yeah.
with. And the reason that it was over with was because the governor's wife was accused of
Yes.
being a witch. And the governor said, I know my wife is not a witch, so let's just end this nonsense now. And he put an end
Exactly.
to
The
all the
hysteria.
witch trials and the hysteria,
Yeah.
and just said, let's just get on with our lives and forget about it.
At that point, if I wanted your land, I would say Christine's a witch. And they would take you, and I would take your land.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, that's
So the propaganda.
what a way to run things,
Yes.
huh? And they actually still have memorials to these 20 people
Yes.
in Salem that they remember them. They will not let them be forgotten, and that's a good thing.
They can't be forgotten because it was for them that I can actually sit here
Yeah.
and say I'm a witch, you know,
Without
and not be
worrying about anybody
persecuted for it.
persecuting you. That's right. That's good. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. All right, well, let's go into the second roll-in.
Okay.
And in this roll-in, you are conducting your ceremony with your coven last Halloween for bringing in the new year.
Exactly.
Okay, if we can see that, please.
First, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is actually my coven and myself, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a brief scenario of how I found witchcraft and Wicca, and then also a little bit of brief history of what we're going to be doing tonight. Okay? I was always interested in the paranormal. I grew up around this. At the age of 4, I was seeing spirits, never realizing that one day I would become a witch. The good thing, though, is that I had a great family support system. I come from a hereditary line of witches and psychics, so I was always able to embrace my roots. At the age of 14, while on a family trip to Boston, we stopped into Salem, not realizing that that was where my journey would begin. I walked into a shop called Crowhaven Corner, and there before me stood my transformation, my teacher, and my mentor, Laurie Cabot, High Priestess and Witch of Salem. But where did my journey actually begin? Growing up, I was always drawn to witchcraft. Halloween was always my favorite holiday. I was also drawn to the magical arts. It was common to have seances in my house. At the age of 14, I began reading tarot cards. And at the age of 16, I was doing psychic consultations professionally. I took many workshops and classes. In my eyes, I was born a witch, but I didn't start practicing the craft until I was 19. The word witch comes out of the Celtic tribes. It basically means wise person, shapeshifter, seeker of knowledge. Many cultures see the word in different aspects, but the term witch goes back to its roots, which basically means wise person. It has nothing to do with the devil or Satan. We have no evil gods or goddesses. We have no evil deities in our religious structure. Witchcraft is an ancient art, science, and religion. As I stated, we have no Satan. We're an earth-based religion which predates Christianity. We honor nature. We honor the cycles of the year. Our belief system is do it that wilt and it harm none, which basically means we could do whatever we want as long as we don't harm any individual. It's a law of karma. I have been practicing witchcraft for over 20 years. My first experience with witchcraft was watching my mom light incense and candles in the kitchen, not even questioning it. I just knew it felt right. My mother would actually do spells for prosperity and healings, basically for family magic. Having no official training, it just came natural to my mom. And I took her natural abilities and ran with it in a sense, ever hungry for the knowledge behind the actions. Which led me to my mentor, Laurie Cabot, who's brought witchcraft into the 20th century and is teaching it as a science, as long as a religion. I first met Laurie on a family vacation to Boston. We stopped into Salem when I walked into a shop, which is the first witch shop actually, in America, called Crowhaven Corner. I instantly had a magical connection. Laurie started training me in the old ways, boosting my self-esteem and my self-confidence, mentoring me not only as a teacher, but a lifelong friend. To this day, I have to give thanks for my successful career to two very important women in my life. First being my mother, and secondly, Miss Laurie Cabot. The combination of knowledge, which I have learned from both these wonderful women, have given me the ability to be the witch that I am today. My sister is also a practicing witch and helps me run my shop, Practical Magic. Being that we were both up with this in our life, she's the ideal person to help me run my business. At the age of 19, I did a spell, a projection basically, to open up my own shop. And many moons later, it manifested. When all the elements were correct, right, and for the good of all. After 10 years have passed, I opened up my own shop, and to this day I still have people asking me, if magic works, why did it take so long to open up your own shop? And I say it's basically cosmic timing. Because thinking back, who would have came to a 19-year-old for advice on their love life, their career, or anything else that they had to ask me? But now, after many successful years in business, most of my clients come into the shop for love magic, curls, and healings. Healings are a big part of witchcraft. We do not practice the dark arts. We believe in a god and a goddess. And because we are goddess worshippers as well as god worshippers, we are a great threat to patriarchal religions. When I first opened the shop, I didn't know what to expect, especially on Staten Island, where something being off the beaten path isn't the best choice professionally or personally. Who would have thought a witch in Staten Island? Being able to share my belief structure with anyone who is interested is a great joy and benefit of being in the business that I am in. At first I was nervous, but I always stuck to my belief and projected that my store would be successful. As I mentioned, when I first opened, I didn't know what to expect. Now looking back, my path was chosen for me. I'm supposed to be a teacher. I'm supposed to be a counselor. I'm supposed to be a healer. I'm supposed to be a witch. As my teacher says, the word witch is a delicious word, and we'd never give it up. We hope to bring an understanding of witchcraft to the world, so that there is no need to fear us ever again. I am proud to be the only accredited witch teaching witchcraft on Staten Island. An accredited witch whose credentials can be referenced, reviewed, and studied under the Cabot tradition of witchcraft. Witchcraft may come natural to all of us, but I can teach it as a science, and I can teach it as a craft, as a third-degree high priest. I cast spells every day. I cast spells like other people pray to heal, for prosperity and happiness. There are other religions that use their prayers and their magic to harm and manipulate the people around them. That is harmful magic. For example, witches do not harm anyone. We can do a white spell to neutralize the harmful intent of a person so it will not affect us. Looking ahead in the future, say 10 years from now, I see myself writing books, continuing to educate about witchcraft, fighting for witches' rights, and being the best witch and human being as possible. I humbly believe that if I continue on my path, all will be well. I have to say how proud I am to be standing in front of you all today. This is the ultimate sign of acceptance. Standing here today on Halloween, Samhain, which is the witch's new year, I'm very pleased to be sharing my ritual and my way of life. This is why the coven is dressed the way they are today. They are the witch's best.
Well, you know what? We'll talk a little bit, and then they can continue where we just left off. You was about to start the ritual, right?
Correct.
All right, so we're going to go back to this roll-in. We'll talk about the ritual, and then we'll watch it.
Perfect.
Okay? So I hope that they're gearing up for it. Anyway, you went to. You said that was in what was the place again?
Crowhaven Corner?
No, here on Staten Island.
Oh, Snug Harbor.
Snug Harbor.
Yes.
Okay, the name escaped me for a few seconds, having a senior moment. Anyway, so you went to Snug Harbor with your coven,
Right.
And I know that from Washington you were all standing in a circle. Now, what is the ceremony about? And then we're going to watch it.
Okay, actually the ceremony is about honoring our ancestors, because on Samhain we honor the people who have passed away. And it was actually a great opportunity because the people from Snug Harbor actually came to my shop. And they were doing a religious documentary, I'm sorry.
Oh, you mean the people who run Snug
Yes,
Harbor?
they were doing a religious documentary on different religious people in society. So they wanted to use witches as their new year. And they also used like a Buddhist New Year, a Chinese New Year. And they put this whole documentary together.
So this is part of the documentary about witches?
Yes.
I see. I see. Now, when you do a ritual for Halloween or Samhain, When you do that, what are you doing actually? What are you trying to manifest good things for the new year, etc.?
Exactly. Our dreams and our manifestations of what we want to bring into our life. But we also have to honor our ancestors because it's almost like Day of the Dead. And the people who have passed away, we put their pictures on our altar, and we also call out their names in memorial to them.
So in other words, you call out their names to honor them.
Yes.
And you and then you feel that they are present with you?
I do feel like when we call them in, actually their spirit does come in. You know, as long as they weren't reincarnated, that their spirits will be with us that night. Because I do believe in reincarnation very strong.
Yeah, but as far as reincarnation is concerned, though, wouldn't you think that most people reincarnate many, many years later?
It depends. It depends on the circumstances.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, I always feel like some people can come right back, some take hundreds of years. But then again, too, I always feel like our spirit